Before the stories begin, I would like to thank all of you for clicking on this video. Without the faithful fans, we as creators could not do this. I truly hope you enjoyed the upcoming stories. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for future stories to come.
The winter night was relentless as Angela Stevens navigated the winding roads of the Pacific Northwest, a place where the evergreen trees stood tall and stoic against the biting cold. She was on her way to visit family, seeking the warmth of familiar faces amid the chilly embrace of winter. Angela, a former detective with a sharp mind and keen instincts, had left her investigative days behind, but carried the residue of her past with her. The snowflakes danced in the glow of her headlights, creating a mesmerizing ballet before disappearing into the darkness. The journey through the snow-covered landscape was serene, but Angela couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She dismissed it as a byproduct of her previous career, the echoes of a detective's paranoia still ingrained in her subconscious. The road stretched ahead, surrounded by a pristine white blanket that seemed to muffle even the sound of her tires on the icy pavement. The occasional road sign guided her through the snowy expanse, promising the familiarity of civilization just beyond the next bend. However, as Angela pressed on, the sense of isolation grew stronger, amplifying the solitude of the winter night. Suddenly, the engine groaned, and the car jerked before coming to an unsettling halt. Panic tightened its grip on Angela as she tried to restart the engine, but the only response was the haunting silence of a dead battery. She sighed, frustration and worry etching lines on her face. Left with no choice, Angela bundled up in her winter coat, donned a woolen hat, and stepped out into the biting cold. As she surveyed her surroundings, the tall evergreens loomed like silent sentinels, casting elongated shadows on the snow-covered ground. The snow crunched beneath her boots as she walked, hoping to find shelter or a sign of life. Her mind, trained to analyze and assess, scanned the surroundings for any potential threats. But in the vast emptiness of the winter night, the only company Angela had was the hushed whisper of the winter wind. In the distance, a light caught her attention. A dilapidated sign announced the presence of a welcome center, a beacon of hope in the frozen wilderness. Angela quickened her pace, her breath visible in the cold air. The chill seemed to seep through her bones as she approached the weathered building. The door creaked open as Angela entered the abandoned welcome center. The interior, frozen in time, bore the scars of neglect. Dust-covered brochures and faded maps lay scattered on the floor, telling tales of a time when travelers sought refuge in this quiet outpost. The air was stagnant, and the dim light above cast eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper. Despite the stale atmosphere, Angela's detective instincts kicked in. She surveyed the room, her eyes sharp and observant. The old reception desk held remnants of a forgotten era, a rusty bell, an ancient guest log, and a vintage coffee mug, frozen in time. It was a tableau of abandonment, a snapshot of a place that once drew travelers from every corner of the country. As Angela explored further, her keen senses picked up on something unsettling, the feeling of being watched. The shadows seemed to dance and twist in the corners of the room, and a shiver ran down her spine. Her hand instinctively went to the holster that was no longer there, a reminder of the life she had left behind. Determined to find help, Angela ventured deeper into the welcome center. The corridor seemed to stretch endlessly, each step echoing in the silent expanse. As she turned a corner, the flickering light revealed a room at the end of the hallway. The door stood ajar, and a dim glow emanated from within. With cautious steps, Angela pushed the door open. The room, a forgotten office frozen in time, held a peculiar sense of familiarity. Dust-covered desks, abandoned paperwork, and a tattered calendar hinted at a bygone era. The vintage rotary phone on the desk caught her eye, and a spark of hope ignited within her. She picked up the phone, praying for a dial tone. Surprisingly, the line crackled to life, and Angela dialed for assistance. As she spoke with the operator, relaying her location and the details of her predicament, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, was still watching her. With the promise of a tow truck on the way, Angela took a moment to gather her thoughts. The shadows in the room seemed to writhe and twist, but she attributed it to the tricks her mind played in the dim light. She scanned the room for any clues that might explain the strange sensation, her detective instincts on high alert. As she examined an old corkboard covered in faded notes, a chill ran down her spine. Among the old papers, a single photograph caught her eye. It depicted a group of people, their faces frozen in time, smiles and laughter captured in a moment long gone. Angela's eyes lingered on the photograph, drawn to the familiarity of the scene. The tow truck's arrival outside interrupted her contemplation. Angela thanked the operator and made her way back to the entrance, leaving the abandoned office behind. As the tow truck driver worked on her car, she couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows in the welcome center were more than mere figments of her imagination. Once her car was repaired, Angela bid farewell to the abandoned outpost, the echoes of its past fading into the winter night. The road stretched ahead, winding through the snow-covered landscape, and Angela resumed her journey. The tow truck's headlights illuminated the path, casting long shadows that seemed to dance in tandem with the snowflakes. As she drove through the winter night, Angela couldn't shake the feeling of being followed. The shadows of the trees seemed to morph into a shape, a silhouette that mirrored her every move. Her detective instincts screamed at her, urging her to be vigilant. The road continued its winding course through the frozen landscape. Angela's mind raced, analyzing every possible explanation for the shadowy figure that seemed to haunt her. Was it a remnant of her past, a spectre from a case left unresolved? Or was it a product of the isolation, a manifestation of the winter night playing tricks on her senses? Determined to confront the source of her unease, Angela pulled over at a scenic overlook. The snow-covered valley below stretched out like a vast, frozen canvas. The moon hung high in the night sky, casting an ethereal glow on the landscape. Angela stepped out of her car, the crunch of snow beneath her boots breaking the silence. The shadowy figure persisted, its presence palpable in the stillness of the night. Angela scanned the surroundings, her eyes piercing through the darkness. The evergreens stood like silent sentinels, their branches casting intricate patterns on the snow. The figure, elusive and ephemeral, seemed to merge with the shadows, becoming one with the winter night. With a sudden surge of determination, Angela called out into the darkness, challenging the enigmatic presence that had trailed her. The only response was the echo of her own voice, carried away by the wind. The figure remained elusive, a phantom in the frozen night. As Angela resumed her journey, the road seemed to play tricks on her, each curve and bend hiding the elusive stalker from view. Angela's instincts, honed by years of investigative work, told her to unravel the mystery that clung to her like the winter chill. The road eventually led Angela to the outskirts of a small town, its warm lights welcoming her like beacons in the darkness. The town streets were adorned with festive decorations, a stark contrast to the isolated wilderness she had traversed. Angela felt a fleeting sense of safety, the presence of the shadowy figure dissipating in the glow of civilization. She pulled into a gas station, its lights spilling into the snowy night, and began filling her tank. A gas station attendant greeted her with a friendly smile, oblivious to the shadows that had haunted her before her arrival. With her tank full, Angela continued her drive through the town, heading towards her family's home. The winter night seemed to loosen its grip as she approached the familiar surroundings, the shadows retreating into the corners of her memory. As she embraced the warmth of her family, Angela shared the strange events of her journey. The welcome center, the abandoned office, and the elusive, shadowy figure were recounted with a mix of skepticism and concern. Her family, always supportive, listened intently, offering comfort and reassurance. Days passed, and the winter night lost its hold on Angela. The small town buzzed with holiday cheer, the festive atmosphere dispelling the paranoia of the eerie journey. Yet, in quiet moments, Angela couldn't forget the memory of the shadows that had trailed her through the snowy expanse. Wanting to unravel the mystery, Angela returned to the abandoned welcome center the next day. The winter sun cast a soft glow on the landscape, its warmth a stark contrast to the cold isolation of the night before. As she stood before the dilapidated building, the memories flooded back, the dimmed lights, the abandoned office, and the photograph. Venturing inside, Angela retraced her steps through the old corridors. The shadows, now remnants of her imagination, clung to the corners of each room. In the abandoned office, she studied the photograph once more, her gaze lingering on the familiar faces. A sudden realization struck her. The figure that had haunted her journey was absent from the photograph. The smiling faces stared back at her, oblivious to the enigmatic presence that had cast its shadow on her winter night. Angela's detective instincts surged her to delve deeper into the mystery. As she examined the guest log, a name caught her eye, a visitor who had signed in on a winter night years ago. The date coincided with the trip that had brought her to the abandoned welcome center the night before. The name, a mere scribble on the faded page, sparked a glimmer of recognition in her mind. The pieces of the puzzle fell into place as Angela connected the dots. The shadowy figure was not a figment of her imagination, but a ghost from the past, a person she had encountered during her detective days, a case left unresolved. The abandoned welcome center had become a haunting ground for the unresolved, and Angela felt compelled to confront the lingering shadows. With newfound determination, Angela visited the town's police station. With the help of her investigative skills, she unearthed the details of the unsolved case, a disappearance that had left a void in the lives of members of the town. The person she had encountered on that winter night was a victim, a soul searching for closure. With the truth revealed, Angela sought out the family of the missing person. The long-forgotten wound reopened as she shared the details of her journey and the connection to their lost loved one. The family, grateful for the closure, embraced Angela, their collective sigh of relief dispelling the lingering shadows. As the winter days unfolded, Angela found solace in the resolution of the past. The small town, once a backdrop to mysterious shadows, became a place of healing. Angela's detective instincts, though no longer tethered to the badge, had led her to the heart of the mystery, unraveling the enigma that had trailed her through the Pacific Northwest winter. The snowy landscape, once a canvas for shadows, transformed into a serene landscape of winter beauty. Angela, no longer haunted by the spectre of the past, embraced the warmth of family and the promise of a new year. The shadows of winter were replaced by the gentle glow of hope, and as Angela drove away from the town, the winding road unfolded before her, leading to a future unburdened by the ghosts of the past.